Hello, everybody. Welcome to the American Doofus Show. Thank you so much for watching. Don't be a doofus. It is Friday night. We are going to be going to Elizabeth City, North Carolina shortly. I've got a story I want to open up with. Actually, I want to open up with last night's coverage after we went off the air. There was a slight confrontation between police officers and members of the press. And we're going to be showing that in just a moment. I also want to mention that according to people on the ground in Elizabeth City, that outside influences have been trying to come into the small town. Again, it's a town of about 18,000 people. And locals are trying to dissuade them from coming in. They want to keep the protesting local and peaceful. And there are some that have just came right out and said, we're here for our own agenda. It's not about Andrew Brown. So things could get, things could be different tonight than the past 3 nights we've been watching. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping things go as they have without the arrests. The arrests have been totally unnecessary. Those that have watched this is an example of a militarized police force taking away peaceful people that have not done anything other than violate a curfew. There hasn't been a window broken. There hasn't been a rock thrown. There hasn't been a fire set. There's been absolutely nothing but peaceful activity, and it keeps elevating on the side of law enforcement. Now, before anybody, especially if you're new, before you get the wrong idea, this is not anti-law enforcement. Okay, this is excessive use of force, and it's obvious, and it's becoming more obvious. And that's why these shows are important. That's why these live streams are important, because it's poking a hole in the theory that all protesters are rioters and the police are always in danger and the police are right to do whatever they want. A prominent right-wing Back the Blue live streamer actually commented last night, according to a source, that he totally understands why the protesters are in the streets in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and the police are in the wrong. So that should give you an idea of how things are. Again, we're live, and Doofus Dog absolutely has to go outside for something. But I did want to mention again that there might be some people in this protest group that aren't local, that have their own objectives, and we will be watching that as things unfold tonight. But right now, I want to show you what happened at the end of last night.
We should go back to cookout. Why? Because they brought us in right here. Look, they're coming from y'all are walking with that group. No, we're trying to get meat that will fix you walk in our cars. That's it. Once you have connection, you have connection. But we need to roll on our car.
I mean, you know, the mayor said where me and presses are guns from.
Okay. Kind of lead on to things, man. You know, the press is following them around.
Yeah, that's all.
You understand that, right? You understand where we're coming from, right?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Why is the press being threatened with arrest?
I'm not threatening anybody with arrest.
No, she is.
Okay. But you do understand where we're coming from, right?
No.
That's what we're asking. No. All right. You see all the dirt bikes, ATVs running all around that thing all night long? See those? There's a safety issue right there, okay? There's a safety issue.
What's the safety?
With the ATV.
That's not We are now.
We don't mind protesters, but all of us.
Okay, I want to stop it right here. You just heard him say, did you see the ATVs? Did you see the motocross bikes? That was a safety issue. Well, if you watched last night's episode, you did see the ATVs. You did see the motocross bikes. And you saw them drive past, around, and into the distance away from police. If they were the safety issue, why didn't the police stop them? They said, we don't have a problem with protesters, but yet they are arresting peaceful protesters. So these narratives, if we don't point this stuff out, it becomes accepted. And I'm going to be talking about a story that ties right into that coming up.
Stuff to make it safety. The dirt bikes, the ATVs, all that stuff, that's a safety issue. Okay?
Right. Nobody here has.
I completely understand that. I completely understand. I'm not saying it's y'all. I'm not saying it's y'all. Okay? You got certain groups that make it unsafe, okay? That's
You think the police officers in right here make things unsafe?
No. I think everybody accepts that.
He's standing here.
But I don't think everyone's safe.
Possibly.
I was out there all night. Everybody's fine. Everybody got bonded up. Everybody's fine. Okay.
Let it go. All right. Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move. All right. Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move.
You agree with this course against peaceful protesters?
All I'm saying is y'all gotta get out of the area.
I understand.
Curfew violation, man. Y'all gotta get out of the area. All right.
Do you think the curfew created this violence?
Where's your vehicle located?
That's somewhere.
Somewhere around here.
I'm going.
I'm going. All right.
Okay, so that's what happened last night at the end of the night. And status quo, one of the live streamers we use, and there is information on how to support him in his efforts. We're going to go to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, with CJ Media, just briefly, and we'll get to another story.
They haven't allowed applicants here outside to be obstructive, to be violent. What do you think this is going to cause Elizabeth City to come under the world order? No. CJ Allen. CJ TV. Yeah, my bad.
Okay, they've been having a cookout, just to give you some backstory, what you're looking at here. There's been a cookout going on for several hours for the protesters that have been out there for the past, I think it's 10 days now. And we'll get back to the volume in just a moment. I want to say hello again to everybody in here watching. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. We don't tell you what to think. We just give you things to think about. And hello to the beekeeper's grandson. Hello, Leah, Dr. Ray, Asadian. Let's see. The Boone standoff. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, there was an absolute massive police presence there. 2 police officers did lose their lives there, and that is incredibly tragic for their families, for their departments. Things like that shouldn't happen. And I think that was also the shooter, the person that killed the police officers, shot himself and one of his parents and a step parent. And so 5 people ended up dead after that standoff. We did cover that. That was one of our stories from a couple of nights ago. And a lot of times a kernel of truth will get wrapped up in fabrications, and you learn the fabricated version of things. There's going to be, if it hasn't already started going around, I've been contacted about it. What do I think about the Dottie Whitaker, Dottie Whitaker, that was her last name, that was killed here in Indianapolis. Now this happened back in July of 2020, and what is going around is that she said that somebody said Black Lives Matter. She said all lives matter, and they killed her. That is not what that is not the whole story. She was killed that night. They do not know who killed her. She was killed. Let me just read the report so that according to this episode, we get the facts out. This was July 5th of 2020. It involved the shooting death of 24-year-old Jessica Dottie Whitaker. Dottie Whitaker, DOTY hyphen WHITAKER, her last name, in downtown Indianapolis. And it is it's resurfaced again. It drew a little bit of attention at the time when the fabricated version come out, but it's starting to come out again. Here are the facts that are known about the shooting. And again, still, we do not have an identity of the person that actually did this. So that in and of itself pokes a hole in the fact that it was a fact that somebody that supported Black Lives Matter killed her. That's not to say that didn't happen, okay? But here's what is absolutely known. It was 3:30 a.m. It was in the 700 block of Canal Court. Officers were called to the scene, and they found Dottie Whitaker with one gunshot wound. She was taken to an area hospital. She died from her injuries several hours later. The shooting was the second fatal incident along the canal within a week's time. A 14-year-old black young man, Curtis White Jr., was shot and killed June 29th while he was attempting to rob someone. The shooter remained on the scene, cooperated with investigators, and was released. July 15th, IMPD released footage of several people walking northbound on the east side of the canal from Indiana Avenue around the time of the shooting, 3:30 a.m. This is the Dottie Whitaker shooting. Police say the people depicted in the black and white pictures may be witnesses and or persons of interest in the case. 5 people can be seen in the images. One person is pushing what appears to be a stroller. However, there are no identifying facial features available from the photos. Dottie Whitaker's fiance, whose name is Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez said that he and his fiance were hanging out with 2 other people on the canal. He said someone in their group used a slang version of the N-word, which prompted someone else in the group to say Black Lives Matter, at which point Dottie Whitaker said, or someone else in the group, it is not clear to Ramirez, said all lives matter. Ramirez said the people separated because they realized people in each group were armed. He said both groups fist bumped at each other and went their separate ways. But someone opened fire from a nearby bridge and struck Dottie Whitaker, her fiance said. And he said the shooter then ran away. So that is the whole story, okay? Now, that doesn't mean It wasn't somebody from BLM that shot her, but it is not a stated fact, as is going around and will continue to go around. So I just wanted to clarify that, because this is a show about telling the truth and letting people decide on their own. So that's that story. Again, Jessica Dottie Whitaker. If you haven't heard about that incident, again, it happened July 5th, 2020. Now, I was asked, why didn't I cover that? I was covering the attempted the beating and threatened hanging of a black man in off of Monroe Reservoir from the day before. So that's why I hadn't talked about this particular case back then in July of 2020. So there you go. We're going to go back to CJ, and I do have a couple other stories. We're going to talk about non-lethal ammunition tonight.
Yeah. But I got a mod squad with that. I do too. Alright. Do you have a platform that you're operating on right now? Okay. Because you want it. I mean, I can tell everybody what they're fighting tonight. Yeah. Anything Goes podcast, guys. Check them out. Anything Goes. Yeah. Yeah, CJ, you can pop in there now, live right now. Yeah. Oh, restreaming it?
Yeah, and they were like commentating the whole thing, and I couldn't hear shit.
Yeah. What you do is you go to, if I can't go live directly from my Facebook, like right now, I get my it rate gets chopped up when there's a video output. Typically, I'll be live on Facebook, or it'll be on YouTube, Facebook, anyone who's a platform. Okay, live all over.
Yeah, because I was trying to watch it, and I was like, this dude, and then he kept switching me over.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in the stream. I got mad respect for the ones that they're willing to give credit, and there's something out there that they're good.
Like, he was good about it, but I was
Was that what was it like? Was Crooked Nose?
By the way, that's me, CJ's talking about, where he says he has mad respect for those that have shows that show his streams and give him credit. So, just for the haters out there, we're all trying to get the truth out. That's what citizen journalists, as they are called, I call them modern day war correspondents, live streamers, whatever you want to call them, and those of us that support their efforts and help spread their efforts. It's all for getting the truth out there, because you don't see it on mainstream media. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if it's right wing, left wing, center wing. All you see on mainstream media is a brief glimpse, and we try to show you the whole thing. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Hello, Moondog. Anybody else I've missed? Carpe diem. Moi. Corbin. Anybody else I've missed that's in the chat? And for those that are watching, you may be watching for the first time, you'll find out that we've got a very diverse, hello, Cornelius White, good evening. We've got a very diverse group of viewers, and we just don't do hate. We don't do racism, and we're not going to be doing stealing each other's names, because that's just, it's time to grow up. There's serious stuff going on in the world, and we don't need childish stuff. And that's just my personal opinion. And I don't want to put moderators in, because then nobody talks. And we've got to have exchanges of ideas. And we've got to talk about things, especially things that make us uncomfortable, especially those of us in the white community. Okay, we've got to start accepting some things that we have thought might be true aren't really true. And I'm just going to leave it at that for the moment, and give credit to CJ, and we'll listen to him for a few minutes, and then I'll have another story coming up.
Yeah, they're kind of like a lot of.
I got to take that to college.
Really?
Yeah, there's some hours.
there's a ton of unmarked too. I've seen guys. These guys got super mad at me because I saw them pull up. I was at the intersection. I tried to wave them on. They waved me on. I waved them on, and they did the whole like they go. He's like, "Fucking go, man!" And I was like, "No, you go." And then like the guy in the passenger seat gave me one of those like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?" Like, easy, man. Driving around here in a Daewoo 4D with a bunch of guys in like flak jackets, like you're not inconspicuous, you know that, right? Yeah, I was like, bro, take it easy, man. Like this is a chill place. You don't need to be open arms, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the vibe. Like 24 hours ago, they were like on the roof looking at us and like getting on the buses. And now it's just like a party going on, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? Like this is kind of how we've seen a lot of things change when people start locally, community starts getting involved. Like I was out in Minneapolis, Brooklyn Center. They started a similar situation. It just kind of turned into, you know, maybe a different vibe, but there was food being had. They took some beef out there, serving meals. And it just came to a point where it's like the statement being made like we're here. It doesn't have to be like we're going to destroy things in the process because the locals are like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that, you know. The gentleman I was talking to over here, one of the pastors, he was like, not a single building hasn't broken or destroyed. The face, windows have been busted, you know, but we're still out here making statements. I was like, man, absolutely represent. That's beautiful.
And then, of course, we're still outside the sheriff's department, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
And like we had some cops coming in and out of the crowd trying to get through and do stuff.
Really? I saw one officer walk through here over that side. Till the bitter end, man. My car was parked. Yeah. Oh yeah. I set my tripod up in the middle, and I was just like, yeah.
I was about to leave, and then that happened. I was like, oh god, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was nuts, man. I thought for sure that someone was gonna get run over though.
No, it was all good.
Man,
Yeah, last night was crazy. I got chased by a cop, so like I just wanted to dip that.
yeah, I couldn't leave. My car was behind me, so I was like, I'm just gonna keep backing up until they just go away.
Was that when I was trying to get home, they had cars like patrolling the neighborhoods, like
Yeah, I was parked, but I found my car. Because I was parked right down here, and looking over there. I was just in my car wrapping my feet, and it was like every other car, every 3 to 1 cars was like, there's trucks driving around. And the truck was like the guys with like, you know, their guns out, just riding around patrolling. It's like martial law situation. I was like, this is 19,000 people here, man. I was just like, why is there so much law enforcement?
it's fucking crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts.
Hell for like 30 people.
If that, of which maybe 18 of them were press. Yeah, it was the majority of it was us out here, like, you know, like covering it. And then when I talked to the captain, he was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, like you just need to be gone or you'll get arrested. And I was like, well, can I go on the sidewalk? I'll tell you what I just said, be gone or you're gonna be arrested. And then all the way down here from Status Quo, like he walked up to him and was like, hey, can I ask you a question? And it was simple. He's like, how do you feel about this happening in your town? And he was like, you have 2 seconds to get out, to get the lead before you get arrested. He was like, let's ask you a question. He like pulled his zip cups out and came after. He's like, bro,
Yeah.
you see that I'm pressed? Like I've got my credentials right here. You know what I mean?
I think as long as you keep your distance.
Yeah.
So I watched some footage from the second night when they were the first time they were arrested.
Yeah.
And as long as you, because I was the first person to get yelled at that night.
Yeah. We are kind of male though. Just kidding. He's the guy. I didn't know you that one.
I already got white out people yelling at me all the time.
Really? All right. Yeah. I get all the time.
Yeah.
I was kidding. I know. I hadn't seen.
No, I don't care.
I don't know you at all.
I figured somebody said something to you because there are people doing that to me right now.
Really?
Like that, they just want to hold people there and try to get. Most people don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, because actually I said I love Trump. So I said last year in November, hey, I haven't even talked to these people since that shit.
Sure.
And they just bring it up out of nowhere. And then they start trying to get the huge support Trump. So what? I'm not even supporting, I'm just here.
You're allowed to believe what you want to believe. Hey, I'm gonna walk in here and grab some interviews real quick. So
Oh yeah, I'm just
in
getting some.
just a minute. I'm gonna get my mic
I'm
on.
sure they'll come to you at some point and tell you. That's what we're talking about.
That's it. Tell me about you.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Interesting.
Y'all have a good one.
We'll talk to you. You be around for a little bit. Okay, yeah, we'll talk. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit too. All right, I'll be good. So I'm gonna get you over here. Let's see what's going on. Sorry guys, we just had a little sidebar over there. We're gonna try to avoid music. Actually, we're gonna go by the grill. So I'm gonna check the mic here real quick, make sure we're up and running and good.
Okay, while CJ's doing a mic check, I'll hop back in here for a moment. Again, if you're just joining us, good evening. Thank you for watching. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. And please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you are, hit the little bell for notifications so you know when we are on. And of course, always respectful comments appreciated, and a good lively chat is generally had in here. A very good evening to you, T-Rex, TB Green. How you doing? Corbin Dallas, that's a name I haven't seen. Okay, I can see why. Different views are okay. Just don't get, don't start calling people names. No hate, no racism. But if you have a different opinion, stick around. Maybe something will strike a chord to make you rethink things. Again, we are at Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Now, tonight's starting out quite different than has in the past. In the past, the protesters, all local, have marched around the city. Tonight, they decided to have a cookout instead. So they're having a barbecue. Yes, they are. They're out having a barbecue, a peaceful protest. You can see they're doing it in front of the county public safety building. That was the site of all the various press conferences and announcements. And speaking of announcement, yes, the Reverend Al Sharpton is coming Monday he's going to do the eulogy for the funeral service of Andrew Brown. This is, I think this is a very effective tool, if you will, that these local protesters are implementing right now. First of all, you know where they're all at, and all the media is around them, watching what they're doing. So anything happens, it's not going to be put on them because there are outside agitators there. And CJ said something about running into some people in pickup trucks with body armor and assault weapons. So this might be the absolute safest way of protesting is by having a barbecue, and I can just imagine some of that. I bet that food is some of the best food you're ever going to eat. I'm just saying. So, again, hello, Kemet. How are you? Good evening. Well, there haven't been outside agitators here, TB Green, and that's what's made these past few nights so powerful and so problematic for those that want to advance an agenda that there's nothing but destruction and looting, and it's all about people getting themselves a new pair of tennis shoes and bullshit like that. Sorry about saying bullshit. I'm really trying to stop, but sometimes people don't like to see the truth, and they've got to try to bury the truth. And we try to make sure that doesn't happen here. I'm going to go back to CJ's. He's talking to the cook.
What happens if the seafood is waiting over here? Okay. What if those people pull out of the water over here? What's the catch?
Different time of the year for trout. This time of the year they pull a lot of bass. We do get blue crabs out of the water here too. In fact, we do crab in here and they take it up to Maryland.
Oh, really?
Maryland raised by the blue crabs.
Right.
But they're really North Carolina.
You guys heard that. They actually take them from here, bring them to Maryland, and they go ahead and rebox them.
Yeah.
I love it. So, hey, you mentioned your pastor. Where's your congregation? What church are you
Church right here in town called Victory Praise and Worship Center. And we're a young church. From the 80s, a young church. on the radio. Yeah. We feed the community for free. Every year we have a free concert. We have a national artist come in. Free concert. Food is free. We have bounce houses for the kids. We have a lot of stuff. So we're big in the community already. Yeah. So for this to hit us, it wasn't a question that we're going to get involved.
T-Rex, CJ ain't no fool. Yeah, if you could get that barbecue recipe, absolutely. Hello, Puffin.
Blue crab, man, that sounds good. My man over here, let's talk to these guys real quick. Let's see what they got going with even the fried out here. This is deep fried. Try to get you guys the best thing.
Wolverine Jones, good evening.
All right,
hello to everybody in the comments.
What we fried up? Hot fish. What kind of fish? Trout? All right, is that caught right here? Right here in the bank? Okay.
No doubt, Commit.
Are you also members of the congregation as well?
Yes. I'm also third ward city. I'm the city councilman here.
You're a city councilman here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's why I'm out here doing this. I got my family together.
All right.
We all chip in and just share.
Now, see, this is community, and
how's the community feeling right now as a whole?
This is awesome.
In the wake of this Andrew Brown.
For those that are here for the confrontations between law enforcement and protesters, this may be a disappointing night. However, this may be a night where outside agitators, we find out that what the police have been doing over the past 3 nights was indeed what I said, just practicing for that time. And tonight being a Friday, being the beginning of the weekend, it could be that time. That's not based on any intel. That's not based on no information. It's just based on me watching all this for and analyzing things in various capacities, watching these protests for almost a year every single night and throughout the country, and just analyzing things. So my hope is we watch nothing but peaceful footage and have a great conversation in the chat. But I think there are outside agitators around there, and we'll see what happens.
To me, but I mean, I think you can't. You don't know how people think.
Sure.
You can imagine. You can assume.
Right. A lot of people are doing a lot of assuming in the world right now.
Right, and that's a problem sometimes.
Absolutely agree.
But if they honestly did for our safety, I'm grateful. I think.
Right on.
But
yeah.
You can bear the truth on the left and come up on the right.
There you go. Like you say.
Bear the truth.
There it is. What do you think is going to happen at midnight? Are you going to come out in force like they did last night, the night before?
They should.
Right.
I don't think it will. I mean, I don't think I have a problem.
You feel that was necessary, what they've been doing, the amount of law enforcement they brought in for such a small crowd?
Well, I guess they was just trying to be proactive, I guess. But I don't think, and a lot of times the problem child, not to say people child, but they're not people from here.
Right.
Most of the time, it's outsiders coming in.
Yeah, that's all too common. Absolutely agree with you.
And that's a big problem. So I think they're trying to prepare, for that. But
sure.
I don't think sometimes, sometimes too much power or too much show off, too much force will escalate.
Sure. Yep.
But then you don't have enough force, and it gets bad. You're in trouble.
Right. It becomes like a big de-escalation standoff.
I don't know if they have one over there or not.
Well, like people have been saying, like the de-escalation factor is a big deal. Like who's gonna walk away first? But when you got a group that like 20 or 30 people out there,
what do you do?
Right.
So you have 10 police officers, they can help for it.
Sure.
So I understand both sides.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's a real catch-22 right now.
You can 6-1 hand.
Absolutely agree with you.
Yes, but you got to be prepared. Like I said, being an elected official, I understand the political side and the political correct side.
Sure.
But then being a citizen and in the community, I understand that side too.
Right.
So what do you do?
Right. How long have you been an elected official here in?
I first got elected in 2011.
Okay. Oh wow, you've been creeping over 10 years then.
Yeah, so I've been up there for a while.
You're doing it.
And I enjoy it. I really do. I love people, and that's my calling.
Right.
God put me here for people,
Right.
and I'll continue to do so.
Wonderful, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time to talk. I'll let you guys focus on your show. God bless you. All right, take care. Well, if you guys are hungry and you're in the area, come on down and grab some to eat. Yeah, but no. Not while it's live. Afterwards, you go like the YouTube creator studio, and I think you can edit it there. Yeah, and that's kind of how you have to do it. I think once you have it set up in a way where it's monetized, YouTube will then send you the copyright strike. They're like, hey, this. You know, they'll tell you what songs by what production company. Then you can go in and make the adjustments in your.
Before that, but I know 27
Not while you're actively live. I think you might have to like cut it and then go back.
Okay, you can watch what he's saying here because I'm not going to risk getting a copyright hit over music in the background. Puffin, what are you doing? I'll show you some magic, but I'll only passing through. Okay. Pillow Revolution. Okay. Again, just a brief recap of where we're at the moment. Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And instead of walking the streets, the protesters are having a cookout. Okay, Dr. Ray, if whites would allow blacks to be themselves, humanity would have developed an advanced society and be exploring planets far beyond our stars. I do not have anything to dispute about that comment at all. Other than, I mean, I don't know about exploring planets beyond our stars, but I like the thought of it. Moondog. Seriously, I'm a right wing streamer. No, I'm in the middle of the road. I think it's just I'm definitely not right wing. No. Wakanda. The Indianapolis Colts football team drafted a player last night, and I was incredibly happy they did because of his story. His mom was born in Africa, and there was a civil war in her country, and rebels came into her village and burned her house, and everybody that ran out the front door was shot by rebels waiting outside. And she went out the back door, and her father was killed, and his name was Quity, Quity. Eventually, the mother ended up in Providence, Rhode Island, in the United States, and she had a son, and she named him Quity. And she spent $10,000 a year to make sure he went to a Catholic school in Rhode Island so that he would get the education from private schools that the defunded public schools could not offer, as well as the safety, which is a shit statement on our society for what we do to public schools, but that's a totally different subject. Anyway, Quity Pay was the number one draft choice of the Indianapolis Colts last night. And when they talked about, before the draft, when they talked to the young man, and they said, you know, are you and your mom going to cry when you get drafted, wherever it may be? Because he was expected to be a top 10 pick. And his mom said, no, we are not going to cry. We are going to dance. And somehow he was still around when the Indianapolis Colts got to choose, and they picked a person of character. And they showed a home camera, and they indeed danced. And I saw one of the most genuine smiles I've ever seen on that young man's face, because he said he was going to be successful, then go back to his community in Africa and change that community. So I just wanted to share that story because you might not have heard it anywhere else. Let's see what CJ's doing.
We can have a passionate conversation about something that you totally don't agree on, and we still come at the house and hang out later on in the evening.
Yeah.
That's just what we do.
It shouldn't stop you from breaking bread. It should almost encourage you to like find out, dig a little deeper. I think a lot of people get so stuck in their beliefs because they built that echo chamber and they're afraid to have anybody question them. But I encourage them, like, you never really know how you truly feel about something until someone questions it.
Exactly.
You might find that you're allowed to change your mind,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of times we have conversations and they change the way that they perceive it.
Sure.
They'll tell you that while we're having a conversation, like, that's a good point. I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah.
Take back what I said first, but that was a cool joke on it. I really didn't realize that's the direction that you're looking at it from.
Right.
So,
and you're allowed to change it as many times as you want. That's your mind to change.
Exactly. Because it's up to you to believe in what you want to believe.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you know that you're not believing in something that's going to destroy the next person, it's your belief.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that, like, every situation's unique to that situation. You know what I mean? While there's going to be some linear flow. Hey, we're going to talk to her in a minute. She got pulled in last night, actually. But, you good? Can we talk to you for a second? What's up? Yeah, no, I was up there last night when you guys got pulled out of the van.
Oh, yeah.
How did that go? You mind we talk, folks? Yeah, we're doing it live right now. Yeah, make sure you guys go. Yeah, we're good. Friend race. So what happened? Tell me about it.
So we were originally sitting here in this parking lot because we've been here since the day after Andrew Brown's murder. We were here to support people on the ground here in their efforts to organize and mobilize and demonstrate and protest. I work for the ACLU of North Carolina. I'm the statewide campaign smart justice manager.
Oh, wow.
I'm a board member of Emancipate NC, and I was with the executive director of Emancipate NC, who's an attorney. And there was a line of cops behind us, press, including yourself, in front of us, another car in front of us with other protesters, and they said that we failed to disperse. So he came to the car and he said, "I'm not going to have to arrest y'all are illegal." We said, "We're leaving," twice. And he said, "Arrest them both," and just pulled us out of the car.
Yeah.
Our charges were immediately dismissed by the magistrate. They were not even certified.
Really?
Yes, because it was bogus. We were there, and then he says that we were trying to impersonate a bail bondsman because we work with a bail fund, bailing people out, requiring no money down.
Right.
No money, no nothing.
Which was announced before the march even started yesterday.
And we've been doing
at the end of it
that.
as well.
And then we've been doing that, bailing people out all week.
Right. And they said you were impersonating a bail bondsman.
Even though there's no financial transactions being made between us and the person, no agreements, no nothing. We just know your name, we get you out. You go to court. If you don't, you know. Like, it's nothing.
Right. And I've talked to one or two people that have actually they've used that to their advantage. They've been arrested and been out the next day. So what happened? Did your vehicle get impounded?
No.
Okay.
They moved it to the side. It wasn't impounded, but it was just craziness.
It was. What did you feel about the sign of force out there?
That they are the escalators and the provocateurs of violence. When we look at the way they presented themselves last week when we first came, they were just doing traffic control. And so to see them escalate with no broken windows, no officers being injured, no, you know what I'm saying, nothing happening, no protesters, no one else is injured, no media injured, but you're escalating each night. It makes no sense.
It was surprising to see, because I've been around a lot of protests, but what I saw last night was really shocking. I mean, I went around the corner and I saw them all coming, and I was thinking, there must be something happening somewhere that I don't see. But then I realized they were coming just for us.
Just for us, and they made all the press. So they said that we should have sat in this parking lot, and we said, how could we have sat here? We know we're going to bail people out over here.
Right.
We were sitting in this parking lot.
Right.
You came and cleared the parking lot. People down
Aggressively
their
cleared the
cars.
parking lot.
Yes. We got stuck over here trying to leave. Like for minutes we were in a stalemate.
Yeah,
And they just simply arrested us for being in a stalemate.
yeah. It's wild.
It's wild.
It's wild. Well,
Look, this is America. I've been saying this. We say that Palestine is an open air prison. So is America. Under the white supremacist tactics, the racial violence that we live up under every single day, the totalitarianism that we live up under, those tactics, the militarized police, the hyper presence of police in our communities, is what you would think you would see in a banana republic.
okay.
Right? That's what you think you would see in a banana republic.
Right.
Right? And they treat us worse than they treated the people on January the 6th, who actually kicked in windows, smashed doors, threatened people, stole stuff,
Right.
ravaged the building. We did none of that. Not a broken window. The only thing that Chief Buffalo told me people had done was they threw eggs.
I heard the
at
eggs,
officers'
yeah.
cars. Womp, womp, womp.
Right.
It's an egg.
Right.
And
What's-
what's about?
You said, I mean, that we're talking in general about the whole nation right now. If we had to make a roadmap for like the next step,
Mhm.
what would that next step be to get towards the change that you would like to see in the nation?
So I'm in recovery from a drug addiction, and the first step to any major change, 12 years in that, is to admit that there's a problem. America has a real issue, really atoning and admitting the depth of the problem in this country.
Right.
They like to gloss over it until we get down to the real truth and the rock bottom that black people have been exploited, their bodies have been commoditized ever since they arrived in this country, and then used as the currency of this country for years, and that racism is woven into the tapestry, the very fabric of this country. Until we can acknowledge that wholeheartedly, then we will never see a resolution. You know, and so as long as we keep denying and minimizing and obfuscating black people's trauma and pain as a result of being forcefully brought into this country and other countries around the world, the colonialism, the imperialism, and the way capitalism destroys and is continuing to destroy our country and this world as a whole, including our environment, our education system, our healthcare system, the prison industrial complex, we all are living in a carceral state. Until we can acknowledge that, those things will continue to get worse. And so, unfortunately, like we know about an addiction, things can always go lower than what we currently see. And so, just when you thought you hit a bottom,
Right.
it can go
You
lower.
find a new bottom. Yeah. You said something real quick about education. Do you feel like the plight of Black America has been properly taught in the schools as it is today?
No, because it's been whitewashed and looked at through the white gaze and the white lens of academia. We have not really looked at how black people not just feel, but how the totality of that trauma, generation after generation, from enslavement to Jim Crow to mass incarceration, that the disconnection, the dehumanization, the demoralization, the disappearance of ourselves, our humanity, our bodily autonomy, and our agency, the collective impact of that on the people, and simultaneously being able to hold space for how resilient and beautiful we drive the culture. You dress, look how you dress. You dress like the dudes on my block, right? You're not dressed like.
You got cool dudes on your block.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Like, you inspired by. Like, why does a certain look and there's black people drive the culture in this country? What we like, TikTok dances, the music we make, how we vibe, all of that is a vibe, right? And all of our culture gets appropriated, but we don't get appreciated for that. And so, like, y'all do it, it's great. We do it, it's ghetto, it's hood, calm your ass down, all that type of shit. And so that's the type of shit that we don't fully address. How we have been talking about segregation, but we never really talked about what does integration really look like. When we talk about integrate, we can just integrate, but we don't need to integrate. Right? What do we really need to do? We need to hold space for people having their own culture, respecting everyone else's culture, and coexisting together. We try to force people to like be alike and fit into this European model of what we thought was good, bad, and whatever, right? And we can't do that. Like, whatever you feel and believe, brother, as long as you provide safety to the community and yourself and those around us, I don't give a damn who you love, who you look like, how you identify, who you pray to, who you sleep with, what bathroom you use. Frankly, I mind my motherfucking business.
Yeah.
That's what we should all be doing.
You said it a couple times on a humanitarian level, like human level, like when you look at it from that macro view, like on a human level, right? It's not.
You do what you do, I do what I do. What I got to do for what you do, as long as you ain't bothering me and mine.
Right.
If you're not damaging nothing, if you're not having like a destructive impact on the community, then why am I concerned with it? You know what I mean? We have got to learn to mind our business, but at the same time, be concerned about what's happening in our communities, right? Like deciding where your lane is and sticking to it. And I really appreciate you for being out here capturing the real, because people don't even understand how far we've deteriorated away from our Constitution and how unconstitutional and unlawful a lot of the practices and procedures that we see every day are.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad out here.
The American Doofus Show does not necessarily condone or endorse anything we see on live streams, only what we say here. In this case, however, I endorsed what that lady said 100%. Hello, everybody, for just joining us. Welcome. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Hello to Starla KS in the chat. Anybody else that has joined the program, thank you so much for watching. We're currently watching CJ TV Media, and CJ, one of my favorite live streamers, as I've often talked about, Maxwell Mitchell, CJ, Ford Fisher. Ford was also there. I'm not sure if he's still there tonight or not. I'll check. But CJ is going back to Seattle tomorrow, I believe. So I wanted to make sure we get CJ up as much as possible. At the moment, though, I'm going to I want to run another story. There's something that I just want to get out so that people have a little bit of better understanding on. And I got to switch platforms here. Stay with me for just a second while we do so. Now, there we go. That's what I wanted. That's, shoot. Okay. All right. We hear a lot of stories about rubber bullets, about non-lethal ammunition. And I'm going to run a little 2-minute clip here to give people an idea what these things look like and what they really are. You can see in her hand in center frame, she's holding what's called a marker round. Now, that is shot from a grenade launcher style. Well, it's a modified grenade launcher ammunition. And it will hit the person and explode, and there will be a mark, purple, orange, green, that indicates that person, Oakley, stop, indicates that person was indeed involved. Oakley, we can't play right now, okay? The person was involved in riotous activities. We get the idea that, the rubber bullet, that it's something that is possibly the size of a regular bullet, and it's just not going to, it's not going to penetrate the skin or anything. It's just going to be a deterrent. Nobody's going to get hurt. Well, the actual term is less lethal weapons. And that term needs to start getting out there because as you'll see, the size of these things and the power they come out and the injuries they cause.
Took a look at weapons of the future, and as you can see tonight, she's doing it again. Some very brave people taking a bullet to help cops train.
It's a weapon of the future that's being tested today.
There you get an idea of the size.
So we were shooting these sponge nose rounds. Today you have something different.
Yes.
What are these and how do they compare to?
Well, like all things, it's constantly changing and evolving, and there's different companies that produce.
By the way, this is from 2014. This is 7 years old, so this is well in use now and common practice.
And to test that bodily deadly injury are 3 volunteers ready to be shot by these gel-filled high-power rounds of ammunition. They told me what they thought it was going to feel like.
Designed to kind of flatten out on impact, which is actually going to cause more surface damage and more pain. But it's an accurate round too, so it's hoping they hit what they're aiming for at least.
I was Charlie Horse many times as a kid, so I think something's getting around there.
But apparently, the pain was more intense. But first, let's talk about the science behind these rounds. Rick Wyatt helped develop and test this ammunition long before today using gelatin and soap.
Our guidelines are if it doesn't penetrate more than a couple inches, which it didn't, and our blame displacement's within reasonable ranges compared to the other rounds we tested, then we give the green light to do human volunteers. Some that have pepper spray in them, some that have a malodorant, so you smell like a sewer after you've been struck with it. So not only makes you want to leave, it makes everyone around you want to leave as well.
There's also a marking round that leaves a bright colored mark so police can find that person later if need be. Now let's go back to the volunteers. A mark quickly shows up on Michael's leg. It's clear that he's okay, but in pain.
Dropped from about 10 to about an 8 right now. I got drilled with a slap shot by a hockey puck. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
All men agree that this would work to deter them from causing trouble, all without the long-term effects of an actual bullet.
Would this motivate you if you were being violent in a riot, violent in a situation to leave the area? Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what these weapons of the future are all about. Corella Lewis, Washington's Most Wanted.
So there you go. You get an idea of the actual size of the projectiles and the damage that they cause. And if you get hit in the throat, if you get hit in the face, if you get hit in the chest, those things are potentially lethal. The rounds they're firing.
Oh, we did not remove.
And oftentimes we've seen these used and fired with little discrimination as to where the impacts would be. This I believe is the pastor that we saw arrested 2 nights ago.
You think that the change in the curfew is kind of a sign that they appreciate that this crowd isn't what it was kind of deemed as before, which is kind of like a destructive mob?
And see, that's the thing about it is, anytime there are issues related to black people, there's an assumption that there's going to be a mob. When there are the issues related to white people, they lay back, and you get the thing that you got on January 6th down at the U.S. Capitol.
Preach.
Yeah, right. And then not only that, but whether you're talking about Boulder, Colorado, or whether you're talking about what happened in South Carolina, in Charleston, if a white male is coming in to do something, the amount of force is totally, it's a total double standard. And so that's how we rate discrimination. Because people say, well, the guy was given a warrant, the guy was running, we hear those types of things.
Sure.
But compare it to our white counterpart, who's standing there with semi-automatic weapons, killing people, killing police, and still get the opportunity to go before a judge.
So now, are you going to end up going in front of the judge when the charges dropped in your arrest?
Our charges have not been dropped. I heard some charges were dropped. Might have been from the arrest last night.
Yeah.
But our charges not dropped. Yeah. We have our date scheduled for June 10th. And so, as of now, I'm planning to be in court on June 10th.
Right. As a community, what do you think needs to happen to make the change that we're looking to see?
Yeah, but the thing about it is, we have a low standard in America as it pertains to law enforcement. It's unbelievable. We talk about law and order, but we have a system that's lawless and disorderly. It's prejudice. It's not consistent. If we have law and order across the board, then you'll see a lot more people in jail that do not look like us wearing business suits. But this so-called law enforcement we're saying can happen, we actually outline our own standards for law enforcement. We have about an 18-point list of things that law enforcement, if they're serious about being fair, also consistent with the Constitution, which of course, when you look at the 4th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, and the 14th Amendment, the items which cover making sure you have probable cause, making sure that you have due process, making sure everybody considered innocent until proven guilty, equal protection under the laws. When you look at those things right there, it's not happening for black people. And so when you go up and shoot someone right on the spot, or you're punishing people, you put them in handcuffs, you beat them up, you put your knee on their neck, you are actually trying to punish people without due process. And that was the same thing that happened in George Floyd's case. They assumed that the allegation that he had a counterfeit bill was enough to actually kill him right there on the spot without saying, okay, let's go to court. Maybe he didn't know, even if he did have a counterfeit bill, maybe somebody gave it to him unknowingly. And he might have passed it on to the cashier, not knowing that it was counterfeit.
Right.
So we're not receiving due process, number one. And we think that there needs to be more background checks for police officers. There needs to be a higher standard for hiring police officers. For example, not only should there be a thorough check of the background, the work background, whether they're use of excessive force, so on and so forth, but since we're running into this big disparity in how black people are handled versus white people, there should also be a check for white supremacist terrorist associations. Whether you were KKK, whether you were Proud Boys, whether you were neo-Nazi, Confederate sympathizers, there needs to be a check, social media, everything, to make sure there is no affiliation with white supremacist groups. Because no matter how much training you receive, no matter how much diversity training you receive, no matter how many times we march, if you're a white supremacist, you're waiting on your opportunity to kill that person and then feel like you can get away with it. So, and then the next thing, of course, anytime there has been a usage of excessive force, we are calling for immediate termination of that police officer, prosecution to the fullest extent of the law, and making sure that person is banned from law enforcement anywhere within the jurisdiction of the United States of America. Because we're fighting an issue right there in Graham, North Carolina, where we have a police officer who was hired in Greensboro, North Carolina. He committed excessive force where one man by the name of Marcus Smith died as a result of being hogtied. Then he went out and committed another act of excessive force by shooting into a moving vehicle. And then he was fired for that. He was hired right down the street, 30 minutes down the street by the Graham Police Department. Really? On March 1st, 2021. So we're there. We filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice, with the State Attorney General. There's protests, there's marches, and in fact, there was a protest held on yesterday regarding this matter. And so we could cut this off. We could stop it, sure, but the standard is low. The standard comes beneath the U.S. Constitution. It becomes beneath the moral standard. It becomes beneath the justice standard. So, and I could just go on. Right. We're talking about making sure we have checks whether the officer is using drugs, drug tests, because some of these guys seem to be started in how they're handling people, and they're very aggressive, escalating when it should be de-escalating. And so we need checks on emotional stability, because in the case of Tamir Rice, when Tamir Rice was killed by the police officer, again, that was another police officer who had been terminated from the force where he left due to being emotionally unstable. He got a job right back in Cleveland, went right out, killed 12-year-old boy playing with her. So we can just you're right. If people want a solution now, that's not the problem right now. Right. People are not listening, and we can get people to listen for a moment. We can tell them what they need to do. And it's consistent with the Constitution of the United States of America.
You're right. I was going to say, he was just like, man, he knows what he wants to say. Yeah, he's like, you said, real fast, one thing I want people to know is where can they find the 18 points? You said there was 18 article points that you filled out. Where can they find those?
Okay. Unfortunately, my website is under construction. Okay. But we have a presence on Facebook. Okay. So people can go to Facebook.
What was that one more time? So we make sure we got a direct contact so people can go and take a look.
Yeah, they can find us on social media. Like, for example, on Facebook, we have Stop Killing Us SKE just Everett Gatewood on Facebook. And so they can find us. And if people can remember, 919-939-6311. And my email address is simple. Gatewood loves, L-O-V-E-S, justice@gmail.com.
Got it. Hey, Reverend, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Yeah. You're amazing. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it. I'll let you guys get cold right there. So, SKU, stop killing us. Yeah. I'm over here because the music in the background, guys, can end up being a little bit of an issue with copyright stuff. So we're gonna skedaddle on over here and kind of get a wide pan look at everything going on. But yeah, it's Thomas, can we interview white supremacists? Yeah, we can. I don't know where to find them though. So I'd say if there's any white supremacists that want to hit me up, I'd be curious to ask you some questions.
Oh. So here we are, Elizabeth City, North Carolina. CJ's live on there. I'm hopping off for just a moment, just to come on and say hello and thank you all for watching. Do a quick look in on the chat. In case you just joined us, we had a segment a little bit earlier on what law enforcement calls non-lethal deterrence. And I'm not going to show it tonight, but I've got another story on that is more up to date, if you will. That was from 2014, and everything that we saw being displayed there is in use now and has been. But some of the stuff they have coming, I don't know. Depending on how it goes, I may show that. I may show that later on tonight. We also talked about the Jessica Dottie Whitaker killing in Indianapolis that has been fabricated, if you will, into a confrontation that she said all lives matter and was immediately shot. And there's a whole lot more to the story. So we talked about that earlier, and the standoff in North Carolina. Mike Pence was in South Carolina. He is trying to decide whether he should challenge Donald Trump in 2024 as the Republican nominee for president. So look for Trump to start smearing him, even though Trump has his own problems with Rudy Giuliani being under FBI investigation and probably spinning pretty quick and turning on his former ally, the former president. But we'll see how all that unfolds. Do I think Trump needs to smear? Yes, I think he probably does, because there is a, again, we don't know what the percentages are, but the Republican Party is split. There are those that are loyal, diehard to Trump, and there are those that want to bring the Republican Party back to pre-Trump positions, if you will. Well, Pence is probably the leader of that group, even though he was Trump's vice president. He's probably the leader of the bring the Republican Party back to pre-Trump era people. No Trump supporter would, but not all Republicans are Trump supporters. See, that's a big problem with all people, is monolithic thinking. It's thinking that, well, okay, I'm a Trump supporter, so everybody must be a Trump supporter. No, not all Republicans are Trump supporters, and thankfully so. But that's just my personal opinion. And no, I wouldn't expect a Trump supporter to vote for Pence. But that's what I'm saying. there are a bunch of people. Yes, he did. Last time around. Next time around, he won't, because a lot of people saw him for who he was. Okay, TB and Carpe Diem are talking. All right. So again, instead of marching around the town tonight, they decided they would form their protest into a barbecue, a cookout, a community event in front of the Hall of Justice, and it's been incredibly educating. A lot of different opinions coming out, and we all like that. We all appreciate that. So I'm going to go back here and see what CJ is up to. There's really not a lot going on in the rest of the country, thankfully. It's the night before the Kentucky Derby tomorrow in Louisville, and as far as I know, there are no plans for disruptions down there. Everything's remained peaceful in Louisville with the week leading up to it, to the Derby, and it's a big dollar. There's a lot of money comes in to the community of Louisville during this weekend. Starting yesterday, there was a major race today, and then the Kentucky Derby tomorrow as well. So always keeping an eye on Louisville and what's going on down there. So we'll go back to CJ real quick, and I'm going to go back to the back of the room and pull up another story. He's getting ready to talk.
Different viewpoints, so that is an issue you have to deal with. So, what did you trip? Careful now. Careful now. I kind of want to interview the news lady, actually.
I was kind of hoping he'd be away from the music, but he's still a little bit too close. All right.
John Sullivan was the one that stormed the Capitol, right? And James Sullivan is his brother that was in Portland, and I ended up getting a chance to talk to him. That's why I talked to him. So I'm trying to check all my comments here. Curfew, yeah, just so you know, Edward Sorensen over on YouTube asked there's a curfew, and yeah, she is tripping Jay Thompson. Literally. But the curfew's at midnight. It's no longer at 8 o'clock, so they moved it up. The councilman we talked to earlier said that a lot of that was because of the community was saying that they wanted to have the ability to conduct their business. All the restaurants that are doing evening service. So we're going to flip this around right every time.
Okay, so we got an update there. Curfew's now at midnight. And again, the business owners complaining because if curfew's at 8 o'clock, then that basically shuts them down. So now it's midnight on Friday night.
Leora, yeah, no, I'm talking about, there's a different guy, but I know we're talking about Enrique Taro. But he's Cuban. He's an Afro-Cuban general. I don't know a lot of the
That's odd. CJ gets interrupted.
Jackie McFarland, what's up? How are you? It's good to see you too. You know, actually, so
I want to say something here real quick, and then I am actually going to go back and queue up this next story. Just because CJ talks to a white supremacist doesn't make him a white supremacist, okay? And this may be as close as we come. That's kind of why I'm staying on here. He's supposed to possibly have a white supremacist come on, I think by call. So we might see a side that we might not ever otherwise see. That's kind of why I'm hanging around on this for a moment. Let's see what he's saying.
yeah, hey guys, thanks for sharing the stream. I appreciate it. Getting that out there, getting as many people out in this as possible. like I said, we've had some great conversations so far.
Yeah.
And it's important that a lot of people hear these things because
Yeah.
hopefully it'll open up your mind to kind of the way things are seen and kind of the way things are being looked at. So maybe the way you look at it yourself. So I gotta hook up a battery here real quick. So I'm gonna put this around, let you guys kind of take a look at what's going on. I'm gonna try to move away from the music. So bear with me over here real quick. I was looking over there in the distance. Safety built there is watching the movie. So I'm gonna go over here. Stop it. There we go.
Stop it.
There we go. We're gonna pop the mic off for a minute here. So I want to make sure you guys can still hear things. Let me know in the comment screens.
Yeah, we're gonna switch to this story real quick.
The speech jammer. On the one hand, freedom of speech is the most basic human right imaginable. On the other hand, some people are repentant mouth breathers whose voice should legally be classified as ear rape, so it's completely understandable that someone somewhere would eventually come up with a device that stops people from talking, other than a sharp knife, of course. And so, two Japanese researchers have come up with a device that, when aimed at the target, makes it near impossible for them to talk. The device, nicknamed the speech jammer, operates on the idea of delayed auditory feedback. Basically, what it does is record what you're saying and then shoot it back at you with a slight 200 millisecond delay, which for some reason is like kicking the speech center of your brain in a nutsack. So basically, the device uses your own words to stop you from talking, which I believe is what we call poetic justice, or possibly an Orwellian horror waiting to happen. Number 9, the incapacitating flashlight. Up until now, the only way to make someone puke with a flashlight was to hit them on the back of the head with it, inducing a paralyzing seizure. But now the future Bond villains at Intelligent Optical Systems in California have come up with a flashlight that uses light pulses to disorient a target and hopefully make it puke its guts out. The incapacitating flashlight uses a rangefinder to determine the distance between itself and the one remaining occupied protester on Earth, and then sends out a series of LED pulses which differ in color and duration. This colorful strobe light is said to have a nauseating effect on a typical human, causing him to lose balance and become sick. Number 8, the phaser. The personal halting and stimulation response rifle is 3 things. 1, one of the most awkward acronyms ever. 2, proof that an obsession with Star Trek does not diminish with age. And 3, a US Department of Defense non-lethal rifle that blinds people. To get around such pesky things as international military conventions against blinding weaponry, the phaser is being developed to use lasers that will only temporarily blind an enemy combatant, thus making it easier to shoot him through the nipples, I assume. Unfortunately, given the size of the current phaser prototype and its uncanny resemblance to an Xbox peripheral, it's a safe bet that, instead of actual combat, the phaser will see most action at drunken army-based parties and future Jackass episodes. Number 7. The active denial system, aka pain ray. Imagine you're at a rally protesting the fascists' fascist decision to fascistly remove French fries from your community college's cafeteria. Also, you have no idea what fascist actually means. You and everyone else are restless, tension is rising high, and some guy, me most likely, innocently suggests to perhaps consider torching the campus to the ground. That's when an armored car rolls by and everyone just falls to the ground in a fit of blinding pain for no apparent reason. You have no idea what's going on. Suddenly, your whole body has been turned into a giant radio receiver and the only station it gets is Pain FM. You start pleading with every god you can think of, promising to release those teenage runaways from your basement if only someone would free you from this pain. But it's not God that's doing this to you. The ADS is a military non-lethal weapon that's basically a giant antenna that emits waves similar to those found in microwave ovens. When aimed at a person, the ADA waves can cause him or her to reach their pain threshold in a matter of seconds by making them feel as if they were burning alive. The weapon reportedly has no long-term ill effects on the human body other than a crippling phobia of microwave ovens and your own government.
Number 6. The XM1063.
The XM1063 is a powerful, full-metal, heavy-duty America, beer, and other manly words military projectile meant to be fired from a 155mm howitzer, after which it breaks down into 152 small submunitions which parachute over a 1-hectare area, delivering the deadly payload inside. The payload here just happens to be weapons-grade farts. The XM1063 is meant to be a non-lethal personal suppression system. The US Army has considered stuffing various things into their metal cannon like pepper spray or tear gas to use against enemy forces. But so far, the most viable option seems to be malodorants, i.e. chemicals that smell really, really bad. It's still not entirely certain if this is even legal under the modern chemical weapons conventions, but if it ever gets the green light, then wartime footage will become roughly 1,000,000 times funnier.
Number 5. The gay bomb.
You know how gay people find every single person of the same gender attractive, no matter their age or personal appearance? Well, if you're getting all your information about homosexuality from a hardcore gay porn, then you probably do. Also, you're probably the US military in the 1970s. More than 40 years ago, the army was actually toying with the idea of a pheromone-dispersing bomb which could be detonated over enemy territory, pumping enemy forces full of lady chemicals or whatever pheromones are, thus turning them gay. And as we all know, gay people are horrible at combat, especially those who have romantic feelings for one another.
Number 4. The thunder generator.
The thunder generator can be best summed up as a weapon that shoots explosions. Originally devised by Israeli farmers to scare away birds, the thunder generator uses a mixture of gas and air to create loud explosions, which the Israeli government now wants to aim at people. With a little tweak here and there, and possibly adding a human skull decal on the side, the TG has recently been reappropriated as a crowd dispersion weapon, as it can send powerful shockwaves that knock people down up to 100 meters away. Unfortunately, the thunder generator is non-lethal only in the sense that a regular firearm is non-lethal, as long as you only shoot the guy in the arse. It's actually been discovered that at less than 10 meters, a blast from the thunder generator can kill a person. But damn, can you imagine the badass headstone that would leave behind? Here lies some guy, killed by an explosion gun.
Number 3. The chili grenade.
Not that long ago, the Indian Special Forces apparently decided that regular pepper spray and tear gas are for pussies to sprinkle on their whole wheat cereal with skim milk, and so they started developing an explosive which, instead of chemicals, would disperse aerosolized chili pepper. This might actually help India get around international bans on chemical weaponry because chili peppers are perfectly natural and technically even consumed by things which might technically be considered humans. The only problem is that whenever the chili grenade hits an enemy army, there will inevitably be at least one person who will try to play it cool and boast that the chili grenade isn't that hot. God, I hate that guy.
Number 2. Sticky foam.
Quickly, pinpoint the inherent dangers and potential for disaster with the following idea: a super expanding, quick-drying foam shot out of a gun designed to incapacitate people. If you answered too big of a temptation to use on a friend after he falls asleep drunk on the couch, then you're right. I also have accepted the possibility of accidentally suffocating a person or a new terrifying genre of pornography. And yet the US military is all about the sticky foam gun, and the weapon is apparently already being used by Marines, most notably in Somalia.
Number 1. The taser shotgun.
The problem with a shotgun is that while it's cool and all, the courts tend to frown upon shooting people in the face with it. Tasers, on the other hand, go down a little easier with law enforcement since they are a non-lethal weapon, but they require you to go all the way over there to where that guy with the stupid hat is standing to electrocute his dumb ass. Man, can't some smart people with obvious mental and personality problems step in and remedy this sad situation? Sure they can! Say hello to the taser shotgun! Already in use in the United States and being considered by British police forces, the extended-range electronic projectile weapon fires shell-like electrode cartridges with barbs in front that, once fired, bore deep into the target's skin and administer a 20-second shock of 500 volts. The weapon is apparently effective up to 100 feet. I do worry, though, that the taser shotgun might work too well and eventually replace traditional tasers. And then what will I bring on a crowded subway train?
So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button below this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you like this video, check out.
Okay. Obviously, the guy's British and has a British sense of humor. Some of the stuff he said was, I would consider callous. And again, for the second time tonight, the opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the American Doofus Show. They're shown for informational and educational purposes only. So there you go. Some of the weapons. Now that was from 2016. That was only 5 years ago. So some of the weapons that are at the disposal right now, and before anybody goes too crazy on the idea of having a military state and having the National Guard take over for local governments, just keep in mind some of the stuff they probably have that we otherwise wouldn't have known about had it not been for British media. So let's go back and see what CJ's doing at the moment.
So yeah, we have to keep a limited distance, like I said, because the music's playing. So you can't get right up in the cookies over there. 9:30. So yeah, that midnight curfew comes around, and I mean, this is the extent. I mean, the crowd. I don't see the crowd getting much bigger than this. And you're okay. Come on, you don't have to ever. You don't want to be on camera. I hear you. Me too. Yeah, he did. And I talked to, unfortunately, I got to fly back to Seattle in the morning, but out of Charlotte, I was on the video and I flew the wrong side of the state. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought CJ was heading back tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going to hop into the comments here in chat. All this money spent on tools for pain and death is a major part of the problem. We could be so much more advanced as a civilization. TB Green, excellent point. And, I was thinking about that as I was watching it with y'all. And the idea of microwave technology, you can heat up a pot pie in 3.5 minutes instead of 45 minutes. In some cases, that's a great thing. But it seems like everything has to be weaponized. Everything that they can possibly weaponize, we see being weaponized. The idea of shooting the expanding foam at people, that just we've been using that stuff for insulation, for leak repair, for a lot of things. But yeah, they got to weaponize it and figure out some kind of gizmo to shoot it at people to incapacitate them. And what happens when you shoot that at the face? I mean, geez, it just that was a segment I've been wanting to get out there for a while, and I know it drove some people off. It puts but the fact that there aren't any confrontations going on drives people off. When I think this is one of the best episodes that there have been. A lot of information, and let's get some more wisdom.
Well, kind of like what's that? Wrong place altogether.
Yeah, man. So like in the city of no more than 18,000 people, and the majority of them being college and stuff or actual residents. This is really collective. This is beautiful. Yeah. Like I haven't seen nothing like this. I've never been out at least 16 person sitting there. We have our biking events, our whole company. But to see this in the city, and there's no students here, and this is the dead economy we have to really know.
People have said that. I've heard that that's one of the reasons the curfew was getting raised up, because the economy's already struggling as it is.
So them getting the curfew was retarded.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, everyone said the it just seems incredibly unnecessary. It's a good.
For us to be nothing but peaceful all week. Today's day 10. And for us to be peaceful, for you to bring in 42 state troopers. There's stops from Burlington up there now. We're designing in Greensboro. That's Greensboro up there is 256 miles from the city. We have cops 30 minutes, which is outside Burlington. Coming here.
Sorry, Stone's Dirty Socks. No, you're wrong. You're absolutely positively wrong. You're monolithic thinking that your belief must somehow be justified by putting all black people into one category is just wrong. No, there are no police there. There are no police in sight. That's the whole point. Now, at midnight, will the police come out? Hopefully not. Hopefully not tonight. But that's yet to be seen. But no. You may think you know, but you don't. And I certainly don't agree with that all hell would break loose if there were no police there, because there are no police there. There hasn't been a single police unit or individual officer in any shot I've been monitoring, let alone been showing as part of the live. So no, I had to discount that. Now I'm gonna. Okay. I just didn't want to catch CJ talking about his personal travel plans.
I'm biased. Why doesn't every police officer get evaluated with a psyche eval before they get hired in the police academy?
It's like the third time today people have mentioned it, and we hear it all over the nation.
If I'm a firefighter and I'm scared of fire, I need to change my career. If you're a cop and you're scared as a cop, you're scared of your community, you're patrolling and policing, pick a different job. You're in the wrong field. It's just being honest. So, like, I don't know if you got to be a professional.
Yeah, so you said something about what appears about is you see that as we're moving forward, that there's going to be a younger generation that's coming in that is actually going to start moving out a lot of the stigmatized older folks, like a lot of the older, like the racially charged individuals that have been around for a long time. You have younger black men, women, mixed race individuals that are part of the police force. You got to change.
When people say Blue Lives Matter, they do choose to be. Yes, when the new generation come in, people say, well, if the system's corrupt, why are there people of color in the police force, as deputies and sheriffs? Because those are the few people that are trying to get rid of the stigma that we have and get rid of the big brothers. I hate to say it, but those big brothers, they're not old. And eventually they do. Eventually they're going to go ahead and retire and die in peace. I hate to say it that way, it's not. I don't wish death on nobody. But those old ways need to die. Because this new generation is 2021. Gay marriage got legalized a long time ago. Being transgender is okay. What's wrong with getting rid of racist ass cops? Why is it not a thing?
It shouldn't be a problem to get rid of racism at all. I think that in anything we should look at weeding out the issues that are fostering up the hostility towards one another in anything that we do, especially in a citizen or a community facing profession. Like they are. They're liaisons for the community. It should be. You would hope, and hope they represent, like the councilman over here was saying, hopefully they represent the better views of the people. And that's where police reform gets looked at a little bit, like how they have it, like constables used to be the thing. Like it was like a dedicated officer for each neighborhood who kind of represented that neighborhood for,
that's going to bring it up. You're not allowed to police your own district, your own city. Most cops in Elizabeth City, they're actually from here. They actually are in Weaponization County or Camden, patrolling those counties. If I know, I'm a police, I'm an officer, and I know Bob's having a bad day, I'm from Elizabeth City, and I know Bob personally, he's off his meds.
Right.
I'm going to go talk to Bob. I'm not going to be ready to shoot and kill Bob because he's having a bad day. I don't personally know him.
Right.
So we need to bring back cops that are actually from the community back in the community where they know people.
That's a solid point. That's a solid point. Like you said, there's people that like once you understand the people that you're around on a regular basis, and we've heard that a couple times too. That they say that a lot. Like instead of it being an issue where it's like we're gonna take you to jail until you take you home. Like you're on one right
In
now.
those smaller rural towns, where it's more of a Caucasian populace, that happens all the time. Oh man, Jack's just drunk tonight. You take him back home to Mary and tell Mary to let him know not to go to the bar tonight.
Right.
What does Jerome do? Jerome gets thrown in jail and gets charged with a DUI or DWI. I have a brother right now that got locked up sleeping in his car. Doing him, not came and bothering him while he was sleeping in his car. He got a place to stay right that night. So it's illegal to sleep in your car now. The car wasn't on, they had no right to bother him. He lived in this area. He was in his car, asleep.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It doesn't at all, and we have to get rid of that. And that's not going to make anything better. People say, oh, we're ready to get rid of racism. Oh, they're going to talk about it? No, that's not how you get rid of racism.
That's not how you get rid of anything. Just ignoring it, things don't go well. You know what I mean?
If you know you go to the doctor, you say you have cancer, you just potentially we need a biopsy, you got cancer.
Yeah.
All right, it'll go away. I ain't gonna worry about it. It'll be all right.
It'll handle itself.
5 years later, now you got stage 4 terminal cancer, and you got 3 months to live.
Right.
You just said it'll go away. You don't worry about it.
Sure.
The problem doesn't get better. It always seems to get fucking worse.
We're all lost. You're okay.
But that's really how it goes.
So would you say like getting rid of the police force altogether?
I would definitely say that, but in the midst of that, people say, well, yeah, who was police? In the midst of that, I don't know how to handle it, but I guess try to find an interim way of policing people. But definitely fixing the form. And going over most of these stupid laws that we have. It don't make sense.
There's a lot of old horse and carriage laws that are still around.
Yeah, like in North Carolina, they still legal to preach your wife on the courthouse steps on a Sunday. Yes.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday, it's legal to preach your wife on the courthouse steps on a Sunday. And it's still a law in North Carolina.
Avoid the courthouse on Sundays, ladies. Just avoid them altogether. They're closed anyway. Don't let them trick you into going there.
Like, no. You and your man just had a bad argument.
Yeah.
You want to go downtown in North Carolina?
Nope.
You might want to find this about that.
Nope, we're not doing that.
No, man,
But you're right, though. I mean, there are things that there's antiquated ways of looking at things. There are antiquated nations and systems. And I think that it's going to take younger blood coming in to really breed change, to breed change into things, and give a new way of looking at things, and open up people's, their thought process.
in this day and time where furthering a generation is another thing you're not supposed to know. It's surprising. I found out that my nieces and nephews have been the police conversation a lot sooner than what I did when I got it.
Sure.
And we're getting aware at a younger age of what's going on.
Yeah.
There should be no reason why my 7-year-old niece, my 16-year-old nephew, is scared to be around a cop. Because they feel like I might do something to a cop. When you see a cop, you're going to put for safety. The only people nowadays that are really cool first responders, the first one I'm catching are EMS and firefighters. When you see a cop on the scene, everybody gets hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what we can't do back here, especially in the South.
People forget where we're at too. A lot of people that are in the comments. It's the South, below that line. And last night, after the police were pushing people out, a couple gentlemen pulled out an actual whip that was an artifact from American history. It was actually used during slavery. And honestly, it was an odd thing for me to see because you hear about things, but the dude handed me this whip, and it was used to whip slaves here in North Carolina, like here in this where we're standing now, and it was a real output. I was like, yeah, people forget that it's very real. Like, it's not just something that we read about, but it's not as personal to some people as it is to others, especially if you're like a black man that's part of the heritage or the history of Black America.
Yeah, it's hard, but even myself,
I'm sorry. I'm going to probably be hypocritical here, but nonetheless, I got to say this. I just saw a couple of young white people walk past in the background that reminded me of potential outside agitators in appearance. All right, that's all I'm going to say at the moment.
It's because they already shot. They don't shoot on us. We're drawing hands on the ground, everybody on the ground. My brother didn't even have a shirt on. It's a piece of he didn't have a shirt on. It's February in New York City. He's outside shooting with a shirt on. I don't know why, but
Red Eye, salute, much respect. Hey, Sissy McLeod. Okay, I'm going to sit back down and let this run.
We should not go that far. Well, actually got pulled over and got a gun on him because they described him as a description of a shooter. The shooter had on had on a black shirt and red pants. He works at Sonic. Sonic's uniform is a red shirt, black pants. Then you see a light-skinned black man walking the street.
One more quick time because T-Rex is right. 8 out of 10 times. That's what happened in those episodes.
In the army, in the military,
He's getting trained about what guns do. I mean, he understands what a gun can do to somebody on a level that, we see in world war. But
if the military has rules of engagement,
sure.
why the hell don't the people that police us, the civilians and the citizens of America, have rules of engagement?
Do you think the police the police not having firearms? Do you think that? What do you think about that?
I feel like we was riding the first night, and Deputy Google said that they use tactical, non-lethal tactical ammunition, beanbags, or bullets. Why do they have the same beanbags and rubber bullets when they search warrant out of Andrew Brown? On everybody else, why don't they have beanbags and rubber bullets? They're serving a warrant. They didn't say, oh man, we got a drug deal, everybody arms in the teeth with a militia. That man was in his heart already. He just got that. Leave. Man, no. What was those arms? What was those rubber bullets? Those beanbags. He still be here today.
And those are effective tools. I can tell you I've been shot by all of them. And it hurt like hell. They will put you on your ass quick. Yeah, they're not fun.
I've been told a shotgun beanbag to my chest will knock me down. I'm 6'6".
You're a big dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna get knocked down. So don't worry.
Yeah, that will do. I mean, and you wonder what it comes down to. Is it because they were in fear for their life? Was it because of you hear a lot of talk about previous record, or because there was priors?
There's nothing to do with today. Right. But I did the past what I did the past. I got a record. 5 years old. I should have stereotyped as a 5-year-old crime I did when I was 19 years old. I'm 25.
Yeah.
I got a kid now. I am a law-abiding citizen. So why does it matter what I did when I was a dumbass teenager?
Right. We all make mistakes, and the way it's supposed to be done is we learn from them. We're trying to have a reform system, right?
That's what going to jail and going to prison is for. Right. Come back and re-institutionalize.
Yeah. Get you back into that.
I did my crime. I did my time. Sure. I should be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
There should be no reason why they should be brought back up because I ain't done nothing in 2 years. I must not be a criminal.
Right. But in the eye of the law,
I ain't a public enemy no more.
You're still a criminal.
For my charge I did when I was 19 years old.
Right.
It doesn't make
But to be clear, I mean, at 19, you're still, granted, a lot of people do pretty heinous stuff at young ages, but you're a teenager.
You're still a teenager. In North Carolina, and with federal law now, you can't even go buy tobacco right now. You're still a kid. Till 21, you are a child.
You can't buy tobacco until you're 21?
Yes. Wow. Yeah, there's no tobacco until you're 21 anymore.
That's interesting.
Yeah, only. So you got to be 21 in North Carolina to drink and to buy tobacco. Cigarette, any of that.
Right.
So if you guys have any plans to go to North Carolina to 121, you might want to turn it up around.
Bring your own cigarettes. Pack them in. You got to pack them in.
Any cigars you might like or love?
Just
buy those and bring those with
you. You got to go to South Carolina or Tennessee.
Virginia, I don't know, I think Virginia raised theirs too. But yeah, man, this was backwards state.
Really?
Like really really backward state.
It's a beautiful state, I'll give it that.
Oh yeah, we have our
Beautiful,
beautiful moments.
yeah.
And this is a very state itself is a beautiful place, but
Yeah.
it's filled with a lot of ugly people.
Sure.
I worked out in Outer Banks, Black Pelican, seafood,
Okay.
bar and grill. Outer Banks, North Carolina, killed up bills. And I worked with people that were racist. Hey man, Israel, I don't like black people, I like Mexicans. That's the same damn thing.
He said it's not that I don't like black people. I like Mexicans.
No, you said I don't like Mexicans.
I was like, that's the same. Black is not.
Yeah, but if you don't like Mexicans, you don't like black people.
Right.
We're the same people.
There's these generalizations that people have, and it blows my mind. They're like, because you can't, dislike an entirety of the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
You have an experience with somebody, maybe just like that person. But
no kid wakes up or is born hating a set of people.
right.
Taught that.
Yeah.
So like
The only two fears we're born with is loud noises and falling down. Every other fear we learn, that we get taught. We learn how to be afraid of a snake, or we get taught to be afraid of big tall people or small people, whatever it is. But I think a lot of people have very lot of fear because of the unknown. They don't understand people. They don't understand. It takes time to get to know you as a person. They see you on paper and they're like, oh, this is what he is. He's his jacket. That's what he is. Like, we're just going to go ahead and categorize him as such because getting to know you take too much time, or it's maybe it would undo what it is that I know about you.
or they might feel like you put my outward leader, my tattoos, my locks, being 6'6". Oh man, he is not somebody to talk to. You have to be educated. I have a whole conversation.
Absolutely.
I hold it very well.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that.
Well, I know you're intimidating everybody right now.
Oh yeah,
I'm extremely intimidated right now. I've been trying to shy away from you, so it's no. You're incredibly engaging, and that's what you want to be doing. Show that. Until you ask people questions.
I don't know, man. So you see, I might have a stern face, I'm a pretty serious person, but I'm a goofball. All my friends know me. I am very funny.
All of our friends tell us we're funny. That's what we keep around. It doesn't mean you're funny, bro. Not funny. Our moms tell us we're special too, but they have to say that.
I'm sorry. I am a little special ed.
We all go through that. I thought the short bus was something that was just cool. Man, that's right. There's only 3 seats on this bus. I'm riding like royalty, man. Turns out it's a different story. But moms told me otherwise. Being special is good.
Yeah.
Hey man, I appreciate you taking the time. What was your name?
Appreciate you, bro. Down the show.
Jones, thank you. Hey, do you mind if we have you on camera? You give us permission to.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I appreciate that, man.
No doubt. No doubt. I have no problem with that.
That's good looking, man.
You too.
All right, we'll talk later.
Yes, sir.
Be good. Yeah, man, after that 5.5-hour drive to the airport. Oh, so you get it. I'd have been better flying into Virginia, though. And I get smoking some cigarettes for underage kids. I'm kidding. Man.
All right. Gosh, I'm glad that was on there. That just kind of reinforced a lot of things we do here on this show. We have guests, we have panels, we have different people talking and to each other and learning from each other. And we just witnessed an example of that right there. And I apologize for interrupting, but I don't know. A couple of people walked by in the background, and it just I don't know. It sent up a radar of potential problems, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Hello to Sissy. And anybody else in here? Hello. If you're just joining us, this is the way we've been doing the show the past few nights. Traditionally, not the way the show is done, and but we go with the times, and the times are dictating. This is a better format at the moment. However, I'm still going to have DC Glenn from the rap group Tag Team that did Whoomp There It Is and Scoop There It Is. We bumped that segment back, and we're going to record that sometime here in the next 2 weeks. We bumped that back due to what's going on. And I'm so glad that everything is remaining peaceful at the moment here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. The protesters have been peaceful. I guess there was one episode, someone throwing eggs, and that was as outlandish as things have gotten. Let's see what's happening here. This is the lady we saw 2 nights ago on Ford Fisher's feed at the end that got arrested. Well, that was some important information coming out there. Potentially new information for some, and for some reason we've been interrupted. And let's see if we can get back. Let's see if we get him back up. Come on, CJ. Here we go. Again, thank you for watching. Oh man, it was CJ that went off. It wasn't me. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if we're back. Apologies, but you know it's live.
me. He's a white supremacist. He's a paid with his officers hammering your friends, your family. It's BS. And so now they're arresting you for speaking out. They don't want you to go on the street. Oh, you need a permit. The First Amendment tells me that in the event of an emergency, I have the right to fuck in a simple. Y'all, my mama don't be like it when I cut. I want to be clear. I know that they are breaking your constitutional rights. I study constitutional law. Which is why I told the police officer, you're guarded, that you cannot arrest me for inciting a riot. First of all, there is no riot. The only riot was the police. So I know that they are breaking your constitutional rights when we are ran down and hunted like animals just for voicing Andrew Brown's name. The black man that was murdered at the hands of pigs. And they did not arrest you. And it's unconstitutional, y'all. Y'all need to go right over to this building right here and go downstairs and file a grievance. They don't get anything else. They don't get it. Unfortunately, all we get is most of the time in cases like this, we don't get a conviction. You know what they do? Take some money, honey. And it ain't even the pig that got paid, it's the county. You would think that at least like some county official, not the man that came out here the other day, the black man, anybody know his name? The guy that was here yesterday that said that people were violent, that's why police are in riot gear. Nobody has never seen any. Y'all are peaceful. Y'all are so peaceful. I love it. I love it. But y'all don't understand what y'all are teaching the world. Y'all are teaching the world that even when we be peaceful, y'all still not gonna give us the personally power and what's good. And the system that is pursued to peace. Not biased, but it is biased. So I don't know how long y'all are gonna have to do this. But as long as y'all are out there, whenever I'm available, I don't care if they say, oh, we want justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. Police. If we don't get no justice, we don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, we don't get no peace. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Fuck love! Fuck love! Fuck love! Up your watch, let's stop you right now. Fuck 12. Hey, up your watch, let's move it right now.
Okay. Something I'm curious about, opinions in the chats. What we're seeing, is this effective? What we're hearing, are these just the threats of shutting it down? The threats, are these just idle? I mean, is this nonstop idle talk? Does what we see have an impact? I'm just curious what people, what you think. And hello to Efren. Hello to Rabbit. Hello to whoever else has joined and is in the chats. Sissy, how are you? Actually, let me see if I've got a notification. Okay. Live streamers from Louisville was hosting an outreach barbecue in downtown Louisville during Derby week, and I guess they got there too late, so she's back in her vehicle already. But that's Summer Dickerson. She did a lot of live streaming. She has a women's ministry outreach. It's Women of Worship, WOW ministry in Louisville. And I got the notification too late. So what do you think? Are protests effective? Just curious. Or is this all a waste of time? Because I personally believe they have an impact. I personally believe that they draw attention and continue to draw attention, and it's done in a peaceful manner. And I think this is, as it's been said on here by others, it's a prime example of how to do it peacefully, and how to express the righteous indignation that is being felt by what appears to be hiding the fact that there was yet another unnecessary death at the hands of police. And we kind of noticed that since the body cam footage came out in Columbus, Ohio, and it actually showed the woman with a knife, and that's all I'm going to say, because I'm still not determined if that was the right thing to do. But that's kind of fallen by the wayside because the body cam footage came out, and not releasing the body cam footage is within the law in North Carolina, because the laws are set up to protect the police through the body cam footage, not to protect the people. It's not meant to be ever a public record. And just the whole way the whole thing's unfolded, it leaves questions when there shouldn't be questions, because questions are what keep people from coming together. And well, shoot, there's Ford Fisher now. I can see him in camera. I can't find him. He's probably just coming on. Again, I talked about this a little bit last night, that the live streamers are kind of like frontline war correspondents in a war of social injustice. And some of these guys travel to wherever anything's happening, and thankfully they do, because they show us what's really happening, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Speaking of which, there's a brief video that's gone viral of Louisiana legislator talking about how they should teach in Louisiana. There's something that you may have heard of, may not have. It's called critical race theory, and basically it's teaching teaching history in a more truthful manner than has been taught in the past. A couple of states have already passed laws against letting it happen, Idaho being one of them. And Louisiana's discussing doing the same thing. And the Louisiana legislator was talking about how, well, we will make sure that the good, the bad, and the ugly of slavery is being taught. And one of the other legislators said, there was no good from slavery. So things like that show attitudes, and we've got to expose those attitudes, because not everybody has those attitudes. But until we at least expose them and address them and identify who has them, we won't go forward. But what originally made me get off on that tangent is Ford is just kind of showing up now late, because this is about the time the police usually come out. And in all honesty, that's where these guys make their money, through showing altercations between police and protesters, not through running 3 or 4 hour streams like, I do, because I don't make any money. But it's about truth and getting the information out there. Anybody that doesn't like this, take it up with my sponsors, okay? And you'll find most of them watching the show at some point or another throughout the week. That's who I'm sponsored by, and I thank you all deeply. We talked earlier about rubber bullets. If you're just joining us, go back and catch some of those, 2 of those segments from earlier on. And we started with what happened at the end of the night last night. That's why I'm either going to wrap this up and just monitor and come back on later, or I'm going to keep rolling here as long as CJ does, just in case they come back out at midnight tonight. As has been in the past, we have not seen any reason for them to come out, but they have shown up in a deeper and deeper force, meaning their force multiplication has been like 50 the first night to 150 to 250 last night. And while the protests have grown bigger every night except tonight, they've never been violent, and everybody's always left around time of the curfew, or the announcement that if you don't leave, you may be arrested. That generally has scattered people, because this is a peaceful, small community. And this is something they're not used to. This is something that everybody's trying to deal with. And I applaud the population of Elizabeth City for not stepping up, for not escalating when the police escalated, because that's hard to do. I personally don't think curfew is a reason for police to enforce. No, I don't. But that's what they've been doing the past 3 nights. And go back and watch the episodes. We've seen the arrest of everybody so far that's been arrested, so we've got it all documented. And it's been kind of like this all the way. Like I said, it's been very peaceful all the way up until curfew, when police come out. So I'm going to stay here at least for a little bit, and we may just run on until midnight. That's another 2 hours and 45 minutes. I don't know if I'll. We'll see. We're just going to play it by ear. So hang out if you'd like. I hope you will, and hop in the chat, and welcome. If you're just joining us, it's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. And we are in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. The footage and upcoming commentary is from CJ Halliburton, CJ Media, from Seattle, Washington. He's currently in Elizabeth City. It looks like the wind's picking up.
Obviously, like most people in the just the opposite. I want to see what between like this role and the new role thing. So like, you know what news channel 3 says, whatever. Like, what's really happening? But who is the blonde blogger? Who's she with? The one who has red pants on. She's back like every night. But she's got to ask the question. I respect that. Like, do they come to someone from a liability? They're like, well, something violent or anything, get me out here. I think that's the that or a liability. I think it's a liability. So, yeah, I'm considering they're like, they're on I used to have my viewers on my personal page. They would send me questions. I would write down questions on it. And I go to I was in the walk, I go to this. I'd walk around. I'd like look out these cars. And I'm like, hey, so and so wants to know this. They want to that. It was really cool. I was trying to put a lot of attention. I'm like, man, what you guys doing? So in the comments, you tell them. It is crazy. You guys can't hear me. The wind is crazy. It's crazy right now. It's nuts, man. I didn't even know how to go live, man. I had no idea how to go live on my phone. I couldn't figure out Telegram. And just like, I was a full-on loss, man. But now, degrees in Seattle to 30 degrees in Minneapolis to 85 degrees in North Carolina to now it's the same North Carolina, but it's super cold. Actually, man, while I'm standing here, I'm gonna go over here and grab a snack real quick. This is something else too. You guys, this is like every protest you go to, every gathering, let me show you guys real quick. The snack table here. Killing it. Killing it. Oh, there's some water too. That's cool. They make little like actually brought my hoodie. It's cold. Yeah. Well, you guys, I think we can agree right now that at this point, the gathering that was deemed as a riotous event is not that at all. The group behind me right now is what's left of the space that's being held. We've still got about 2.5 hours until the 2.5 hours, yeah. My watch stuff, PST. Until the curfew kicks in, I would be hard pressed to think they're still going to have sign up force event. So, group that's left is some local, some out of towners, but for the most part, it's a group that's been celebrating the peaceful nature of this protest. I think that's something to keep in mind and to focus on, is that they've been wanting this to stay as peaceful as possible. Shying away from what we see in a lot of other protests with destruction, damage, violence. Just like we were just talking about, they're looking for results for a specific issue, something that's happening. Now it does come in, we take on a bigger scope, when we talk about all the other circumstances that go into that. But when we're talking about body cam footage right now, that's what it's about. And this community here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, in regards to Andrew Brown Jr. and that officer involved shooting. So this is what it's left with right now. And, it's good to see. But I think I'm gonna wrap for a little bit, man. I'll probably pick back up the road, chat with you guys a little bit, or we'll just walk and talk here for a second. But I'm freezing. I gotta get back in my car. Take it easy. Let me do this. I'm walking you guys real quick.
All right. CJ's shutting down, and Ford Fisher just came on and just gave a brief report and said he was going to go back and edit videos for posts. So we're not going to have any coverage. I will keep just kind of monitoring things if somebody get notification that something's going down around midnight, we may pop back on. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up here too. I'll hop in the chat for just a few moments. First of all, thank you all for watching, and hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, hit notification if you are, and we appreciate it. Let's see. Blatant racism is real with these low-life bigots. Yes, it is. Racism is very much real. There are rules and authority to enforce the laws. That's true. don't break curfew. That to me, adults having a curfew in a non-emergency situation. I know a state of emergency has been declared there, but it's obviously not an emergency situation nor environment, nor is it necessary that one should have ever been called. It was anticipation that some people might get uppity, as they say in the South. So that's I don't think there should be a curfew necessary for adults. Now, if there's obvious risks, then that's a different situation. That's a great question, Red Eye. I've been saying that that's a real distinct possibility, and because there are a lot of really upset law enforcement officers, a lot of really upset back the blue, no matter what. There's, police can do absolutely no wrong. That crowd over the Chauvin victory or Chauvin verdict, and so I wouldn't. You can't really say what's on somebody's mind as they're doing what they were doing, but I would not rule it out. We can always find information. I mean, hopefully there'll be information come out. Again, this is North Carolina. And as the one guy said earlier, it is legal to take your wife to the steps of the county courthouse and beat her as long as you do it on a Sunday. So just one of the laws still in effect in North Carolina. And there are archaic laws like that in effect all around the country, not just in North Carolina. But anyway, I would like to see some statistics, and actually I'm going to search for them. How many police involved shootings are actually based in a mental health issue or an emotional crisis, and not in a actual violent threat situation? Because people talk about defunding the police, and everybody automatically thinks, well, that means take away all police. And there are some that are a part of an abolitionist movement to abolish all police. I personally don't agree with that. I can understand why some think that way, but I don't agree with that. But what they're actually saying in defund the police is take some of the money away from militarizing the police, which is unnecessary, as we've seen the last 4 days, and put that money towards having somebody else respond, someone with some mental health skills and credentials that is coming to de-escalate and not just coming to hammer a nail, if you will. But I think police, if they understood that concept, I think a lot of police would welcome that. I think a lot of police would welcome not responding to calls like that, or having teams of some kind of mental health professionals paired up with a police officer, or in tandem, two police officers in situations like that, in case it does escalate to where police need to be there. because there are times that might happen. But there are options for everything, as long as we have open minds, as long as we're willing to listen, as long as we are willing to communicate. There are always options. And I thank you for taking the option of watching the American Doofus Show tonight. Again, I'm going to monitor what's going on here. I'm not sure why. I thought CJ was wrapping up and leaving, but not sure what's going on. I haven't been paying attention. So I'll hop in here again before I say goodnight. The cops do have a military mindset at the moment. They are taught aggression. Oh, we're having a media conference, talking with other media. So I don't know. Let's see what they're talking about real quick here before I wrap up, and I'll look in the comments. Okay, CJ's getting hit on. The military mindset. Police do have a military mindset. They have military equipment. They're taught to be aggressive as a way of making sure they save their own lives, and that kind of takes away the connotation of protecting and serving, and can lead to judgment and punishing, and that's not the purpose. Is there such a body of people? We don't hear about who would be willing, what those people look like. We need that dialogue. There is no clarity. D. Bloom, I'm not sure if there are those people that are willing, but yeah, we need the dialogue. I was just about to say, I would, if I was offered a position to do that, I'd have to consider doing it, and consider as saving people's lives by showing up and trying to talk people down, trying to de-escalate. But yeah, I don't know if there is such a body of people. There'd have to be some set of qualifications, and you get into so much red tape, but until the conversation starts, it's never going to advance. There are some that want to abolish police. There are some, yes. They want no police. Yes, some do. Not all, but some do. And there are some that, yes, I agree, abolish all racist police. And there's ways of finding out. There just are. And that's why I think there ought to be a complete, every law enforcement agency in the United States ought to have a complete independent, top to bottom evaluation. And I think every so-called good cop would welcome that. I think, it would give them a safety net to see the practices that should not be going on, to see them stopped and to make sure they're brought to light. Why are they waiting 30 days until the tapes are released so they can chop and screw the video? That's a distinct possibility. The reason they're waiting 30 to 45 days, I believe, was what the judge actually said, and that he would revisit it at that time. But that doesn't mean he's going to release the tapes at that time, just that he's going to revisit it. And they're waiting that long. The judge said to make sure there was a thorough investigation by the sheriff's department, and potentially the state Bureau of Investigation. And since then, the FBI has become involved investigating any civil rights violations against Andrew Brown. The judge also ruled within 10 days, the immediate family and one judge, as long as it is a member of the North Carolina Bar Association, will be able to see the tape, but it will not be made public. I've been afraid of that for a long time, Red Eye, and I've been trying to do whatever I could to keep it from happening. You know, trying to propose sit downs, trying to show people have more in common than they do anything that divides us. Baracus, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not making any kind of judgment on that situation because I don't know. I haven't looked at it close enough. I haven't. I watched. I watched one angle of it, and I couldn't tell if the girl had taken the knife away from the woman that fell to the ground, and that's why she had the knife in her hand, or if the girl had the knife and had been using it as a threat. I couldn't tell all that, so I don't want to. I don't want to make a ruling without looking at it more. I don't want to make a personal judgment, so I can't answer that. The angle I saw, in all honesty, the angle I saw, it looked like the police officer, since he had his weapon drawn already as he got out, because he shot her within 22 seconds of getting there. If he'd had a taser out, and that would have been another option, but he didn't. He had his gun out. So the angle I saw, it looked like that the only choice the officer had was to shoot the girl with the knife, because it appeared from the angle I saw, she was going after another woman. All right. That's my opinion of what I have seen so far. That is not a definitive statement on that it wasn't that it was or wasn't justified. I can't make that definitive statement without looking at it more. Now, the problem is I can't make any statement at all about what happened to Andrew Brown, because the only thing I've seen is telephone pole cam footage of the SWAT team and sheriff's department rolling up on the house, and it wasn't standard operating procedures, but so. And there's Ford Fisher now. Hang on, let me see if I can catch what's going to happen here, whether we should get off or not.
How long have you got to be here? I got in yesterday morning, earlier.
Okay. I just wanted to see if Ford is heading back down, so we may get another view and stay on for just a little bit longer. Let's see, where was I? I'm not cool with abolishing law enforcement, and no one I know want that either. Yeah, Carpe. Again, it's monolithic thinking. It's that anybody that doesn't totally support must be, the enemy. So not everybody thinks the same way. I watched it. She was going to stab her. The girl thanked the cop for saving her. Okay. Well, again, we haven't, there aren't any protests going on up there as far as I know. And it at least appears like it's justified. That was my whole point. We have no idea what happened with Andrew Brown because in North Carolina, the law is set up that body cam footage is never meant to be public record. It is meant to be a defense tool for police. And in all honesty, I don't think the public will ever see what happened to Andrew Brown, but time will tell. But give crazy white guys with knives swinging a pass and even run so they won't kill them. That's true as well. There are all types of non-lethal methods that can be used to subdue someone without taking life. That's true as well. Yeah, no one can because we don't know. Yeah, that's the whole point of if this would have happened, this happened in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, again, about 18,000 people. If this incident would have happened in any potential, in any city bigger than this, there would be a lot more response from the public. The public here isn't used to anything like this happening, and I'm glad. Okay, now there go the ladies with the green hats. That generally means the observers are going down there. That generally means they're going there because they feel like there's going to be something to observe. Rubber bullets. I talked about rubber bullets earlier. I showed a couple of stories earlier in this episode, and one of them was about non-lethal, what's called non-lethal force. Also showed one of the top 10 new at the time non-lethal, including expanding foam that incapacitates people. It just absolute bizarre, the things that have been weaponized. Baracus, as long as you can say Black Lives Matter, then we know that you really mean all lives matter. Because yeah, all lives matter. But the point is, to too many people, Black lives don't matter at all. That's why we have to specify that Black lives do matter, because they do, because there are too many people that think they don't. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is press talk, and I want to hear what these guys are saying. This is media talk. Well,
It's a good zone. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. The copy. I'm gonna walk back. Yeah, but I mean, you're walking the car. Why are you trying to get away from me, bro? All right. I'm standing alone again. I'm suspicious. Right? You're cool because you look like a cop, bro. Damn you! So that's news to share. That's not a share news to share. Not share. Sorry. I just blanked on his name. Sorry. News to share. I'm bad. It's
Ford Fisher.
Ford Fisher. There it is. Good dude though. Like, super friendly. Is it buffering? What is going on in my? It's not boyfriend of mine. Man, let's see what's happening. I don't know, kids. You might need to do it on your. Anybody that thinks it's funny, someone says, quit the cop talk about CJ. Sure, man. Pretty sure some people dropped CJ's name. My bad if they did. Hey, quit the cop thing. What does it say? What is that? Make sure are we wearing a blue October shirt? No, it's a 2 a.m. shirt with a rose on it. So I'm gonna flip this around so you guys can see me. But YouTube is down. Oh, it says it's YouTube. That's way too bright. You guys sweating the whole cop talk, man. Yeah. Follow the screen, y'all.
Copyright violations. We've got to mute whenever there's music. Let's see. White getting taken out by cops 4 times more and double unarmed compared to black. Okay. Hans Gruber, MD. Yeah, if you can say Black Lives Matter, then it's obvious all lives matter. But it's okay to say Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. I mean, I feel horrible for the 2 police officers killed in North Carolina in the standoff, which was just another part of the state that we're watching right now, a standoff from like 16 and a half, 17-hour standoff. And 2 officers lost their lives. Shooter had barricaded himself in the house, had killed a parent and a step parent, and K-9 deputy that was in the house. The dog, I'm told, was not in the house, and had shot another sheriff that they were able to remove. And the law enforcement showed up law enforcement showed up for a wellness check. They showed up to make sure the person was okay because they hadn't been showing up for work. And, if this is a situation like I was talking about earlier, where a mental health professional shows up, they may get shot too. I'm not saying don't do it without, body armor on maybe, but come with a different attitude, an attitude of de-escalating. But anyway, that it ended in a standoff, and the shooter barricaded themselves in, killing 4 other people before killing himself. And I feel bad that happened. I feel sorrow for the families of those law enforcement officers. So it's not, it's those lives matter. Okay. In my opinion, again, I'm just expressing my opinion. It's not anybody's opinion in the chat or anything else. See what CJ's talking about while I see if Ford's going to stay up. Namaste to you, Sage.
And the ability to do what we do, I think, is fantastic. That we have that compared to what we have. I don't know I'm referencing back here, but in the past, what we've seen with, yeah, you guys want to give me bits, let me find my car. I appreciate that. But what we've seen with some of the other places back in the Northwest, where streamers aren't allowed, to be there, media is not allowed to be there. People are just chased out, which is unacceptable. I mean, shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. Volume's a bit low. You got to turn the volume up then. I'll be back in a second, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Sorry, this is what's known as dead air. I'm trying to find something online, and CJ's left the camera. Okay, I'm gonna flip over, and I've shown this once before. This is from Ford Fisher. This was in
Oh, kick your come here.
okay. This was in Springfield, Minnesota, and well, I'll let Ford tell the story.
On Sunday, activists gathered outside the home of prosecutor Pete Orpid in Stillwater, Minnesota. This was their third demonstration outside his home, where they demanded he upgrade charges for Officer Kim Potter, charged in the shooting of Dante Wright, from manslaughter to murder. They did this in the form of a Sunday prayer service on the street. A few houses away and across the street, a couple confronted the crowd. While I was filming, I missed the beginning of the interaction, but I was later told the wife confronted activists over the event blocking a neighbor's driveway. The activist had apparently offered to move if the neighbor needed to leave. The interaction you're about to see is what I recorded when I ran into the situation.
Fuck you, fuckers! Fuck you, fuckers!
The husband is Sergeant Paul Gorder, a 30-year veteran of the Minnesota Correction Facility at Stillwater. After a separate angle of the event was posted by an activist, Sergeant Gorder was placed on investigatory leave. Some of the language you're about to see is extremely vulgar, and as a reminder, News to Share does not endorse the words or actions of the people we document.
You touch my wife! You touch my wife!
Neither does American Doofus.
I'll kick your fucking ass! Come here! Mama, come here! That's my fucking 89-year-old man! I'll kick your fucking ass! Fuck off, cunt fucker! Cunt fucker! Shut up! She's fucking trying to help you to fuck off, fuck you, fuckers! Fuck you, fuckers! Shut up! She's trying to help me! Shut up. Hey, you guys, whoa. Fuck! The guy was trying to walk his dog.
Again, nobody
Would be great. And
nobody
then,
thrown down, nobody
before we get
slammed.
supported, that would help push the wheel along, help support me in my journey here to give you guys whatever coverage I can give you with as much travel as possible to get around the nation and cover things as best I can. But the supporter, you can become a supporter on Facebook. One of our amazing mods here, Stephanie, or someone on Facebook, we want to post that link up so you guys can jump in there. We greatly appreciate it. And, like I said, it'll help kind of give us a chance to look forward and plan what we're going to do and where we're going to go. So that would be good. That would be really helpful. Yeah, Jen, I saw the hype train. We had a couple hype trains going through yesterday. So for my Twitch family over there, man, I appreciate you guys keeping it lively. And again, if you're not sure what the Twitch is, you can check it out. It's one of the links, one of the platforms we operate on. But it's a lot of fun. The group over there is super cool. So, and that's twitch.tv/CJTV Media, I believe. And you can you also get a free subscription if you have an Amazon Prime account. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
So yeah, if you want to help CJ out, I wanted to make sure and get that out there. These guys travel around the country filming. Ford Fisher, CJ, Maxwell Mitchell, based out of Louisville. And they show the real story, and that matters. And that matters to some people. So if you want to help support, again, CJ TV Media LLC. And if you want to help support what we're doing, it's Cash App American Doofus, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS, $sign in front of that. And all right. Okay. Nope. Nobody else is live, and I think CJ's wrapping up. That's what he usually does. He gives the how to donate and help him keep doing what he's doing. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same. I will. I'll be monitoring. If something comes on, I'll hop back on. Hopefully, everything stays peaceful as it has been throughout this night, and from those out demonstrating, they've remained peaceful, and police haven't been abusive in their arrests. I wouldn't say the arrests were necessarily necessary, but police have not been abusive in their arrests. So, but an unnecessary show of force, I will say that. But that's just my opinion. So, thank you all so much for watching. Jason Downey. I just saw Jason's name. I don't know. Yeah, Jason hasn't been live streaming much. He was a major force in originally in what was going on in Louisville, but he kind of transitioned to another role that I'm not gonna talk about at the moment. But oh, I did not know anything about that sage. He said it was from, shoot, I forget what he said it was from. I think he said it was from a band, I thought, but I didn't know that. I don't think anybody ought to say that word personally, but you know, that's my personal opinion. I love you all. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you want to help support, $sign American Doofus, all one word. You want to email me, it's American Doofus, all one word, at gmail.com. And Doofus is DUFUS, not DOOFUS. It's the alternative spelling of Doofus. We try to bring you things that you don't see elsewhere. And past week, we've been covering Elizabeth, North Carolina. We'll continue to do so tonight over the next hour until the midnight curfew. And if everything stays safe, then we will be back tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll hop back on later on tonight. I love y'all. Thanks for being here. It is still a dark world, and we can all be a light, and we can all be positive, and we can all work towards making things better for fellow human beings, which just makes things better for ourselves. So again, whatever you do, stay alive. Not to be confused with Maxwell Mitchell's Stay Live, as he's live streaming productions. And go to Facebook and like these guys: CJ, Maxwell, Ford Fisher, all the people that are on the streets bringing us views that we otherwise wouldn't have. We greatly appreciate them. I greatly appreciate all of you watching. And until next time, we'll be back. And it's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Peace. Namaste. Shalom. I love you all. Stay well. Stay healthy. Stay happy.